Hello, dear friends. Welcome here on Mondays. We have our Spiritist Talk broadcasting to you from Richmond, Virginia. We're very happy to have you here. My name is Shane Martin. Tonight, we're going to be talking about peacemaking skills. And as always, in every Spiritist group, we're never alone. So I'm going to be bringing right now our friends, Evelyn and Eric. How are you guys doing?
Hi again, yeah.
Good,
Doing well.
very good. Thank you for joining us tonight. And here we will always recommend to the folks who are watching us live and on demand. Every time we get together, the good spirits will be with us and they can magnetize the water, and the water will have properties that will help us heal physically if we're able to, emotionally and spiritually. So I always recommend that when you are with us, have a little bit of water with you, and then you can have one for yourself, one for your family members and friends. Just put it up, line it up there, especially now when we can't meet in person, but the good spirits are always with us. So we're going to start tonight with our message from the book Happy Life. So I'm going to bring it up, Eric, and he's going to be reading the message from the book Happy Life.
Be a peacemaker. Live in peace and promote it wherever you may be. Widespread turmoil and fighting could be prevented or at least circumvented if people would practice mutual goodwill. Receiving an offense in silence, meeting an attack with forgiveness, or diverting a blow would prevent many conflicts that erupt in flames of hatred. Believe in the power of nonviolence, and peace will blossom in your heart and the hearts of those around you.
Thank you, Eric. Now we're going to transition to our final prayer. Well, for our beginning prayer, I haven't even done anything, but live that it is. So we're going to do our initial prayer. And as always, prayer can be augmented. The power of prayer and thought can be multiplied as we pray together. So the recommendation of the spirits on the gospel according to spiritism, which is what we're going to talk about today, the last chapters 28, 27, and 28, is for us to always repeat the message that is being said, the prayer that is being said by those who are praying. In this case, I will be praying right now, and the end our friend Evelyn will pray. So if you are able to join me, take a couple of deep breaths in, deep breaths out to calm the body and bring yourself to the present moment. Dear Mother, Father God, today we thank you for everything that you've given us, for all the love and kindness that is abundant on your universe. We ask you that you protect and guide us during our studies today, and that we may be of service to you through the presence of the good spirits. May they use us as instruments to help the discarnate spirits that are all around us. May these moments of reflection allow them to heal and console the suffering hearts in our neighborhoods, in our homes, in our communities. Tonight, especially, we ask you that you soothe the hearts of those who have lost their loved ones recently. May it be due to the pandemic, or may it be by actions of those who are still embedded in evil. We ask you, dear Lord, that you protect us and all of the cities in the United States that are under unrest. Our own city of Richmond is also that way. So we pray that the good spirits may descend from the higher realms and populate the entire city of Richmond and its surroundings, calming and soothing those who may be angry, who may be fearful, and who are suffering. We are all connected in humanity, and we hope that you can use us as an instrument to spread goodness and goodwill, patience and resignation. May you guide us, protect us, and with your permission, we begin our studies tonight. And so be it. All right, dear friends. So, as our friends Evelyn and Eric, they will be here with us as I guide us in this discussion with on peacemaking skills. I see some of you are joining us live. Welcome. We are very happy to have you here. We hope these moments can be of healing and help to all of us in both realms. I am able to see that you're there, but we're using a streaming software. So if you want to comment, if you have a question, if you have a request for us to pray for you, we ask you that you write on the comments down below, and I will be able to see the comments and address them as we go. All right, dear friends, let me just bring you down here, and I'll be talking about peacemaking skills. So the first thing we have to talk about is, why would we want to be a peacemaker? So why do we want to learn about being peaceful? So you can answer whichever way you want. More than ever, we are observing all around the planet that we are being very reactive. We are feeling, we are thinking, we are full of emotions, and we are reactive. We are under stress and distress. And sometimes the actions are not really beneficial to anybody. We're all connected. So what you and I think, feel, and do affect those around us in both realms. And if you're spiritist and you're watching this now or later, at any time, this will be available on our YouTube channel and here on Facebook, um, on the videos on our page. Let us reflect on how we are causing ourselves to have peace in our lives, peace in our hearts. Because as the good spirits bring to us, we are co-creating with God. So whatever we're doing, if we're being peaceful, we co-create peace. If we're being distressful, we co-create distress. So in the book Evolution in Two Worlds, Andrea Luiz bring to us there are two types of co-creations. Of course, there are more, but it's a didactic way of saying co-create on a higher plane. Those will be spirits like Jesus Christ and his co-workers who are creating planets, organizing galaxies, creating new species, working on the evolution of the species in this planet and others. These are the higher elevated spirits. And the co-creation of at a lesser plane, these are us here on the right, on the left side. This is you and I, each and every day, from the cells of our bodies that we are under the command of our spirit, through everything that we create physically, intellectually, for the moral and physical progress of the planet, we are co-creating with God. So this is a call to all the spiritists who know of these, who know of this existence of the soul. It's survival after death. Know that we don't change automatically when we die, and then the spirits are around us. So they may be influencing the way you and I co-create. So if I am an example of the good, and if I co-create in the good, I can co-create with God and fulfill my will on this planet. In the Spirit's book, Questions and Answers, this one 643, the spirits bring to us that there is no one who cannot do some good. So each and every one of us, in the smallest of things, and even if it is the way we talk, the way we speak, the way we move around the world, we can do some good. And good, if you go to the third part of the Spirit's book, the natural law, the spirits explain to Kardec that good is that which aligns with the divine laws. So go look at the 10 divine laws and the natural laws. And evil, or the lack of good, is when we deviate from that law. So there's no neutral. So when you and I are in a city, like we are here in Richmond, and we are seeing the unrests and we are seeing what's happening, we need to take action. We need to be mindful. We need to be careful. We need to be peaceful and kind with others, because that is goodness. We need to move forward and be mindful of the injustice around us so we can act and we can be coherent, knowing, do we need to leave the point of knowing to the point of feeling and the point of action. For mental reflexes, where we think, affect our emotions, how we feel. Emotions trigger ideas, and idea triggers action. That's on the book For in Life by Emmanuel. So we are immersed in an atmosphere of the images that you and I project and receive. So that's an image. So that's a virtue. That's an image of you and I. We're going about our lives, thinking about things, and those images are projected all around us. Very easy to know of these when you're talking about reading the books of Andrea Louise, where the spirits can probe our thoughts. They can see what we're thinking. For example, in the book Messengers, Andrea Louise described that the mentors are able to see the audience. And the audience, some of the audience members are paying attention and visualizing the gospel images that are being explained. Other audience members are actually thinking about the soccer game, other work, thinking about work. And how do the spirits can know this? They can probe our thoughts, and those are mental creation, little movies that are created because thought is mental energy. There's a thought particle that, as Andrea Luiz explains to us in the book Mechanisms of Mediumship. Also, there's a love mental field. So if I'm peaceful, I will project peace, and I will attract peace. That's the law of the mental field, where Andrea Luiz brings to us that each creature will simulate only the influence that attract to itself. So let's take a deep breath and think, what are the things that I'm most focused on? What are the words that I most use? What are the things that I'm attracting? How am I treating my loved ones? How am I treating the ones that I don't know? So let's think about how we interact with one another. We're immersed in this ocean of God's love. Divine providence is everywhere. So you want to tune higher so that you can feel that presence of God in our lives. Later in the book For in Life, chapter 20, Emmanuel says that evolution demands that we develop new habits, that we detach ourselves from lower forms and walk toward higher stages of existence. We are living the planetary transition on the planet, of course. The planetary transition can only be on the planet, but we are living this planetary transition where we are going through a world where evil predominates, the lack of knowledge, the lack of goodness, to a world where we are tired of that. When they're eventually in a joyful world, we'll have more, we have good greater than evil. So in these transition times, we need to be mindful of leaving our lower forms, the things we're used to do, the things that we're always used to do, and always focusing towards the good, toward the peaceful mind, learning those skills on how to be peaceful. And of course, we need to be peaceful, learn to be peaceful, learn peacemaking skills for ourselves, to teach the ones that are entrusted to us through our families, because the spirits influence us. They influence us in good ways and in not so good ways. So let's think about Richmond today or other cities where protests are peaceful and they start peacefully. And the crowds gather, people get a little bit more anxious and fearful, and there's actions and reactions. And then who are we to say that the spirits are also not influencing when people are gathering together towards one action or one purpose of another? So we know that we are always an example to someone, either someone who is in the physical realm with us or someone in the spiritual realm. And then when we lose those lower forms, when we leave the mental states that are lower towards higher states, we are actually attuning with the higher spirits. And then the spirit influence that you and I can feel are of a greater dimension, greater love and greater kindness. And then we can better serve as instrument for them to influence us towards helping our loved ones that are all around us. Joanna Giangeli in the book Happy Life, I'm sorry, Child of God, she says, your life is what you think. Life will respond to your thoughts with events, sensations, and emotions. So if you're peaceful, if you have cherished love, thoughts of love, you will be surrounded by waves of tenderness and affections. So if you dwell in thoughts of peace, the harmony of life will echo within you. Now let's go back to the beginning. I asked you, why should we be peaceful? Why should we learn peacemaking skills? Because if you are thinking about peace, so if you're trying to, are you going to wake up tomorrow after watching me talk with you and be peaceful all the time? Probably not. I hope that you do. But most likely, we're going to oscillate. We're going to go back to our natural rhythms. So the invitation is for each day a little bit of a time for us to assimilate those peaceful thoughts around us. Because if we are in times of unrest, of fear and anxiety, if you can be peaceful, you will influence the people around you and the spirits around you. And then that can echo, and they can be a force to influence others in their lives. Sometimes it takes a smile, sometimes it takes a good demeanor, sometimes it takes paying attention to people. It doesn't take that much. Remember, we're co-creating still in the low, in the lesser plane. So we are thinking about our direct circle of influence where you and I can actually act and have some effect. So in the Gospel according to Spiritism, in chapter 9, Kardec addresses um, the passage of the gospel. Here I'm quoting the New International Version from Bible Gateway, where Jesus is described by Matthew to all his beatitudes on the mount, the Sermon of the Mount. And in verse 5, this chapter 5, verse 5, Jesus says, "Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth, and blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God." And then Kardec will talk about what does it mean to be meek? What does it mean to be peacemaker? What was Jesus talking about when he was saying the peacemakers will be called children of God? Remember, Jesus incarnated on the earth 2,000 years ago, and we are still seeing all around us different ways where we're still resisting the call to be a peacemaker, the call to be meek, to be kind, to be affable. And then Kardec will work on these verses. He quote three verses. I'm quoting two to you for us to discuss, where he goes through different instructions from the spirits. This is a beautiful book. Mine is a little bit of an older version than a lot of people can get nowadays. This is a well-loved, well-used book on chapter 9, Blessed are the Meek and Peacemakers. And then he will describe a couple of things that you and I can act upon or can work upon. So every day we can be that meek, that peacemaker that Jesus has told us that works. So the first characteristic that the spirits bring to us is affability and mildness. Being affable is to be pleasant in the presence of others. So in item 6, Lazarus brings to us benevolence towards one's fellow creatures, which is the result of loving your neighbor, manifests itself in the form of affability and mildness. Okay, great to know. But how are we in our daily lives being affable and mild? Do I go to places already with an agenda, already with an attitude, already ready to fight? That's the first thing we have to think about. The words we use. I killed it. I nailed it. Um, things that we don't even realize that words have power, words have energy, because of course they are a reflection of your thoughts, of things that you're used to do. So the first thing would be, can we work on changing our demeanor, our language? Are we always tense, and are we always trying to make an impression? Do we always need to be right, and do things need to come our way? Probably, but sometimes we have to be mindful of the things that the spirits encourage us to do, to learn to be peaceful and to be a peacemaker. The next part is patience. So patience, he says, is also that's a friendly spirit. It doesn't say his name. It says be patient because it's also charity. Everyone should practice the law of charity as taught by Christ. So I think today, as we were preparing this, patience is the main thing that has come to mind, because sometimes we want things. When we want things, we don't wait for things to come our way. And in the chapter that we read today from Joanna de Angelis, that is on, hanging with me, I'll translate Roman numerals to numbers. She says, be a peacemaker, live in peace and promote it wherever you may be. Believe in the power of nonviolence. The peace will blossom in your heart and the hearts around you. So part of being peaceful, being a peacemaker, is to be patient. Everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in the right time. And sometimes it's hard for us as humans incarnated on the flesh, with our own needs and our vicissitudes of being in a physical body, to be patient, even in the face of difficulties like we're facing today. Of course, I want all the unrests. We all want all the unrest to end. We want injustice to end. We want equality for everybody. We want everybody to have everything that is the minimum that a human being should have to have a good life. But things take time, change take time, the awakening of consciousness in the universe take time. So Jesus was here with us 2000 years ago. Only now we may be even open, more open, to be actually a living vessel of his words and studying his words and how he did. Obedience and resignation is the next item. In item 8, Lazarus tells us that obedience is the consent of reason, while resignation is the consent of the heart. So when I'm obedient, I consent to reason. So I reason that it's reasonable, and obey the laws that says there's a curfew at 8 o'clock. There's a curfew. We don't go out when there's a curfew. There's a reason why that is there, because there's been destruction, there's been violence. We don't want people to get hurt. When we are in the pandemic, reason might be, a reasonable act may be to socially distance, physically distance, because we can be still socially connected. It may be to respect stay-at-home laws. So we are consenting to the reasonable actions that bring together data, science, and the needs of everybody. When I resign to something that is afflicting me, my heart is the one that's consenting. I say, okay, God, I'm here to obey your laws. I know your laws. I know your 10 laws. I've memorized them. I know the Old Testament. I know the commandments of Moses. I've read all the four books of the Bible, the canon, and I know everything. Now I resign myself to obey your laws where you put me. So you put me in this place at this time into 2020. And then I resign that whatever comes my way, it is supposed to be. I'm reaping what I've sowed in this life and previous lives. So maybe it is a mission. Probably the minority of us are here on a mission. A lot of us are expiating something, and some of us are in trials. We are being tested to make sure that we can undergo the transition and will be selected to stay on the earth, or we will be exiled. So let's practice being obedient and in being resigned to the laws of God, because God knows much more than you and I. Next is anger. And why are we dealing with anger? I'm going to talk about being a peacemaker. Of course, if you're meek and if you're peacemaker, we need to work on our anger. And we may be irritable, we may be tired, we are stressed, we are fearful, we may be angry at the situation. Of course, we're angry when there is injustice. Of course, we're angry when someone gets hurt when they're not supposed to. We are angry when something happens to someone that we love, or someone does something to us. However, anger does not exclude certain qualities of the heart. So you can be angry, it's just a state, but anger stops us from doing any good and may cause us to practice great evil. So that's why when you detect anger in yourself, we need to take a break and say, okay, where is this anger coming from? What is the need that I have that is not being met? And how can I just stop? Even if you don't do anything, you just stop. Silence is also charity. And you breathe in, breathe out, make your breath long. the same length of the exhalation. Actually, can make your exhale a little bit longer than your inhale. And now you're using built-in mechanisms in your body, in your physical body, and in your brain. They will activate certain hormonal changes, certain deliver of substances that will allow you to calm down. We actually have this beautiful machine that you and I are blessed to have mechanism to calm ourselves when we are experiencing anger, when we are fearful. Because again, we have to go back to that state of obedience to God and resignation to where we are. But anger is a natural reaction. But let's not allow anger to prevent us from doing good. Sometimes we get angry and we make things worse. Now, in the book, the last part is a little bit of more practical tips. So this book is called Rumo Certo, and I've translated many chapters for my own use and from use of the Spiritist Center. So I thought we would bring to you some of the tips and tricks that Emmanuel brings to us in this book, which will translate to right path, correct path. Emmanuel, in the beginning of the message, he says, peace, however, is based on the law of exchange that maintains the balance of the universe through the binomial giving and receiving. Again, we're going back to the mental reflexes. We're going back to I'm thinking, feeling, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling affable, I'm being mild, I'm giving, and I'll receive in the same manner. He says, sow peace that you may reap it. So when again we're moving from a reactive state to a more mindful, proactive state where I'm actually pondering the situation, I'm thinking about how am I feeling, how am I acting, am I angry, am I tense, so I can work on being more mindful that way. And every day a little bit of peace. Remember, good erase a multitude of sins. So the little acts of goodness that we can do that can be multiplied. A simple smile, a simple opening and holding the door for someone, simple asking how are you, but really meaning and listening to what the person has to say, even though it's hard. So if we sow peace, you reap it instead of feeding the anxiety of the moment. And now even more practical tips. As Joanna de Angelis says, be a peacemaker. Emmanuel will tell us, talking, calm those who are listening to you. When writing, articulate images of optimism and confidence, serenity and joy. This is very important in these times where we have an overwhelming amount of information, of social media, of manners of seeing and getting to know things. So when you're talking to someone, allow them to express themselves, but curb when they start complaining, pity party, when they're exalting the evil, they're focused on everything that goes wrong everywhere, and we know the goodness reign in the universe. So calm them. Tell us, okay, I'm sorry you're feeling this way, but let's work on focusing on the good. Because everybody, even the person who is taking the life of another one today, because we're focused on a series of events that are unjustifiable, but there is people hurting one another all the time. There's a lot of violence that goes on inside homes, outside the homes. There are places that people are hungry. There's places where people are sick. So there's a lot of motives right now for us to feel fearful and angry. But if we're able to talk to someone and calm them, if they're allowing you, they're asking your opinion, acknowledge their feelings. Say, I'm sorry you're feeling anger. This is really unjustifiable, what is happening, what you're feeling. Acknowledge them, but then let's think about how can we calm them. How can we say it's okay, it's going to work out. We resign to the wills of God because God will be with us. In writing those messages of optimism, confidence, serenity, and joy. And that's why we post so many posts of Spiritist messages, because as Spiritists who are given by God this information that life goes on, that even if you lost your loved one today, someone's going to die on the planet today of something. You and I, the only thing we know is that one day we're going to discarnate. So we want the planet to know, everybody, without proselytizing. We don't want to, of course, force people into knowing this. But if we have the opportunity to say, okay, things are going to work out, God is there with you. So we need to spread the good news. We need to not be shy. We need to exponentially let people know that the spirits are all around us and they are there to help us. Let's focus in sending the feelings of goodness and good thoughts to all of those. And especially here, I want to focus on the writing, because a lot of times I see some things on social media there. I don't believe those people are spiritists, because they're so in discord, they're so in anger, they're taking a black and white, yes or no, me or you kind of position. So if we were to read Emmanuel, Joanna, Joanna de Angelis, Andrea Luis, and all of the good spirits in all the books of the codification, none of them say, go and fight, go and tell, you have to be right, share your opinion. This is the work of the evil spirits. The spirits there are still not knowing of Jesus, because Jesus never did that. Now, if you go to the book, Jesus in the Home, this one here, go and purchase it. As Spiritist, you need to read this. Use this as your God at home message. Here you're gonna see that Jesus looked at people, that he smiled while he was looking at people with his eyes. That he was silent, he let people discuss. He didn't put any fuel to the fire. He was kind. He prevented people from embarrassing themselves. This is a manual of peacemaking on the earth, because he is the living law. He came to fulfill the law. He lived as one of us. He felt the vicissitudes of being in the physical body. He did not fight. He did not say, I'm the son of God, I'm here. He accepted things on where they were. He entrusted 12 apostles, or maybe 13, depending on if you count Mary Magdalene or not, to spread his word. He chose 12 that, just like you and I, have a lot of difficulties. And in this book, you can see what he said, how he said it, how kind he was. And then this is really a psychological study of body language, of kindness and goodness, because he never yelled at anybody. He never got exacerbated to the point of hurting someone. He was always helping, working, serving, and loving. Emmanuel continues later in the chapter. He says, when it's not possible for you to provide the security of the environment filled with restlessness, visualize peace through word and thought. Okay, so you and I are here today, and we may tune into the news, and there is just distress all around us. You may not be able to go there and provide security, because you may not be a law enforcement. You may not be someone who can put on a curfew. You may not be the one who can discourage people from going there and protesting and causing difficulties. You can protest in peace, but if things get out of hand, stay at home, visualize peace through word and thought. Again, it goes back to talking, goes back to listening, goes back to writing. Write messages of optimism. Call the folks you know. Ask them how they're feeling. Ask if you can do something for them. Visualize peace. Visualize the entire United States enveloped by the arms of our Master Jesus. Visualize the whole planet enveloped in God's love, because we are all immersed in God's love, in the breath of the Creator, which is the universal cosmic fluid. So it may not be possible for us to go there and secure the environment, but you secure the perimeter or circle of influence. Visualize the goodness, visualize peace, because each and every person was created by God, just like you and I. And God loves them as much as God's love you. God loves you when you are a newly created spirit, the same way that God will love you, still gonna love you when you become a pure spirit and is working with Christ to improve the environment here on the earth. Because by then, 1 million years from now, 1 billion years from now, depending on how long we take, we will be superior spirits and we'll be planning planets, the creation and formation of planets in the universe. So we can now visualize peace I can visualize myself being peaceful. I can visualize myself being calm. I can visualize the ones who are in the hospitals being soothed. I can visualize the ones who are in jails being soothed. I can visualize those who are in charge of taking care of the countries in peace, inspired by the good spirits. That's what it is obedience to God's law and resignation. He says, encountering discord, remain with truth, enlighten the path, also emitting thoughts of peace towards brothers in contention. And if you speak, pronounce the edifying phrase that can help extinguish the foci of disturbance of or imbalance. So here he's saying, yes, it's okay to be distraught. It's okay to call people and comment on the events because again, you are of this world. You have a physical body, you're incarnated, you're going to feel the environment, the energetic environment around you. If you're meeting, you might even be able to see the amount of distress in the spiritual realm. But then you and I have little actions we can do throughout the day. Let's say, for example, you're allowed to go to work or you're working from home and your coworkers are talking about all the bad things that happened last night. We can cut it off and can say, okay, our pity party here happened. 5 minutes is enough. Let's focus on the good. What can we do? Can we soothe someone, some heart? Can we do something, donate to a cause that we agree? Can we stop? Because again, um, in the book, Thought and Life, Emmanuel is saying, we are emitting these thoughts and we're receiving. We're meeting and we're receiving. So now when we are able to emit good thought, let's say a person is talking and let you talk. And then you can just visualize peace and calm, stop the disturbance, cut off the monoideistic idea. Go to the book Evolution into Worlds. Andrea Luiz is going to talk about these instances in the spiritual realm and in the physical realm when we get obsessed with one idea. So and so is bad, this situation is bad, the plan is bad, and then we are unable to see the gradations of goodness they're all around us. All you have to do is pick up one of the books of Andrea Luiz, and then we're going to see that the number of good spirits, they're coming in missions, they're coming overnight to help us. And all they need is one good thought for that radio station, for us to tune into their radio station so that you and I can actually be of service, be mindful, be awake, and be here with us. So those are some tips on how to be a peacemaking, having this peacemaking skills. And mainly, I would recommend that we go to the book Jesus in the Home, of course. We want to read everything, right? We can go start with the Gospel according to Spiritism and read everything about being a peacemaker. And then in the book Jesus in the Home, you have the actual actions of Jesus, where he stopped, he let people talk. It's uncomfortable. Silence is uncomfortable. See, it's only a few seconds, but people like will interject. People feel anxious and go. When you're driving around to go to the grocery store, visualize peace, pray for everybody, visualize the spirits riding in the car with you, riding in the car with everybody. When you go to the grocery store, visualize the spirits infusing all the food with good molecules. When you're cooking, visualize the food being infused with molecules of healing. If you know of someone who is anxious, depressed, encourage them to seek help. All kinds of help: medical help, spiritual help, psychological help, psychiatric help, depending on the case, so that you each and every day, one action at a time, we can work towards a more peaceful world. Welcome, welcome, dear friends. I see new faces over here. I see more people joining us. Thank you so much for being with us. I am unable to see, or we are unable to see who you are, but if you write down here on the comments, we'll be happy to answer any questions, or if you have any concerns, we're gonna leave again our information so that we can be able to more better serve you. All right, dear friends, so I'm going to leave it here. This is an image of Richmond, but before we go to our prayer, because it's not time yet, we want to bring back our friends Evelyn and Eric. Let me see if we can do this. Oops. All right, dear friends, I'm gonna unmute you. All right. So after all of that, questions, comments, anything that you felt that pulled your attention towards being a more peaceful person.
I liked the reminder of using our breath to calm ourselves down. I've experienced this several times. I mean, how well it works, um, and visualizations too, right? Especially sometimes we cannot do this at the moment because we're just so overcome with emotion. But I think if we have this in our daily practice, it can get easier and easier. Um, to even like say some silent prayer for on the spirits that are around you, that are with you, to keep you calm, to keep you um, from saying something like you're gonna regret or doing something you're gonna regret. So those are very good um, tips.
All right, I'll make our faces bigger so I can see you better.
I
What
think,
about you, Eric?
I think going in peace is almost always a good approach. Going in peace, and you gave some good reminders of that. During these times, I'm praying for justice too, and um, and you talked about anger, and anger is tricky because sometimes it's destructive and not productive, and sometimes it's covering up depression. Occasionally, anger is useful when it's channeled in the right way at the right time. Um, but going in peace is almost always a good idea. And I
And
think you gave us some good reminders.
And it's very it can be very challenging, right, Evelyn, because we are as you as a mother, knowing how children develop, and sometimes what I meant to say earlier, I forgot the name of the book, but here in the book Jesus in the Home, one of the reasons we want to talk about being a peacemaker, peacemaking skills, because it's hard. It's really hard to be, and you are a spirit. You and I, everybody's a spirit. And then we have a spirit, a perispirit, and a spiritual body. Oh, sorry. We have a spirit, a perispirit, and a physical body. And then remember, the spirits are around us. So everything that happens in the physical is a reflection of the spiritual. So what you're seeing today when you open the news is only a sliver of what's happening in real life, because if you're a medium, you would be able to see the unrest happens in the spiritual realm before it starts on around us. This is go to the book Non Solar, chapter 42, and Andrea Luiz is going to explain. Chapter 9 and 10 talks about the attacks of the lower zones into the colony, and also how the lower zones interact with us because we are very close to the lower zones. But in chapter 42, it talks about how the physical realm was being affected by the wars and the turmoil in the spiritual realm, and that led also to the fear, and we caved into, and we went into the World War II. We're also talking about here in terms of family, and Eric also has his kids. Just in the home, first chapter is home being a school for the souls. Actually, chapter 2, the school for the souls, chapter 2. And there's exactly where Jesus says the home exports individuals to the community, and a community is the sum of all of us. So if each and everyone can be peaceful, calmer. Let's start by calming ourselves, not reacting, being proactive. So it's very interesting when we think about if we could infuse that in our homes. If each home could be peaceful, the ending result would be, you guys that do math know more about this, the end result would be exponentially more peaceful, because each and every one of us, but now we oscillate, we go up and down, we feel the presence of the spirits, some are suffering, and then we get anxious because we need to do that social media diet, not just diet in the physical realm, but like social media diet. news diet, just focus on calling people and talking to them, calming and writing good messages and cleaning our. I always tell people when they talk to me, oh, but this social media is bad. That social media. I was like, no, your use of the social media is not adequate because you can go and follow. If people are angry, pushing their political opinion or the evil spirits are using social media to incite people to discord. Go there and unfollow. Don't unfriend necessarily because you want to share good news. They may get it. So unfollow, unfollow. Go and like all the spiritist centers you can find on Facebook, all the spiritist centers on YouTube, all the spirit centers on Instagram. Follow those, and your social media feed is gonna look beautiful. Not just women. I talk about Buddha, talk about Dalai Lama. We talk about different spiritual leaders in our world that are leaders. But talking a little bit about how we can be peaceful at home and thinking about how to teach those peaceful skills to ourselves and model them to our children. It's not easy. Or maybe it is, and you can tell us, and we'll write a bestseller book.
It is not, right? Because we are not perfect. And then we are trying to teach them things that we may still need to learn and practice.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one of the biggest challenge in parenting, but also the biggest propeller for growth. We start to look more inwards, like how am I dealing with my anger? How am I, showing up with others? My tone of voice. How do I treat people around me? And all the things. And hopefully, when people become parents, they become aware of it because um, it's even beyond what we tell our kids is what they see, right? So there's a lot of self work, which spiritism already inspire us to do. But I think it's even more important when you have those little humans that are looking out for you.
And the beautiful thing about the Spiritist teachings is that Kardec put together a compilation of teachings of the spirits that are not necessarily new, right? The interpretation of the teachings may be new, but the knowledge of reincarnation, the knowledge of being good, loving others as you would love yourself, that's in the Old Testament. Loving your enemies is Jesus doing. But the beautiful of the beauty of these teachings is that they are universal. And then maybe the minority of humans know about spiritism. A lot of us are spiritual. People believe, I think 70% of Americans believe there is life after death. But it's in different manners and how that works. Spiritism brings to us the importance of the exchange between the two planes, the moral implications of knowing of these. But the teachings are universal. And as I was preparing this for us, and we were working together, there were two things that I was inspired to bring with me in terms of being peaceful, because the teachings are universal. So I have always, for some reason, I was inspired to bring my Jesus. So if you have children, you want to be peaceful, you can give them a companion. If you want to know where I got this, write me, because I'm about to do free advertising here. But there are many tools. Actually, you can buy actually a puppet too. So you can give them a companion and keep reminding them that Jesus is peaceful, Jesus is kind. There are a lot of spiritist books. They're not at hand here. I would have to leave the station here to pick them up. There's a lot of spiritist books for children, and especially if you can speak Portuguese, there is even more. There's songs and there's different things you can play. There's Christian material on YouTube that you can allow them to, you can learn the songs, you can teach the songs, not necessarily let them watch. But part of being peaceful is, like you said, in knowing how am I feeling, what am I doing, how am I acting, is knowing about feelings. So this is a series. This actually helps some adults too on this level. This is Todd Parr. He's an author. He has a bunch of different books. You can see the books here. But I'm not making this is totally free of advertising. He doesn't even know who I am or who we are. But you can tell the person, the kid is feeling silly, or sometimes they're feeling like being under the covers, and you they're feeling lonely. They might be feeling lonely now because they're not able to be with their friends and not able to express this. And it's very bright colors, as you can see. Sometimes they're brave. Sometimes they want to be out and contemplating every day. So these are tools that undoubtedly are inspired, because these are ways for them to, as a little, where they're malleable, they're able to receive the inspiration. There's still all the past life personalities are not set, like we can change. Even as adults, we can sometimes have the onion card books, and we can say, how am I feeling? We may not need a book that is that colorful, but we can have a gratitude journal and remind ourselves there's so much to be grateful for. Or we can have a journal. You can just journal how you're feeling. You have a little booklet that you carry with you, or you put it on your phone notes. It's probably better if you stop and write, because then it takes you away from the the devices that have us, that are designed to grab your attention with the notifications and the beeps and everything. So it is a challenge, but we have to just, we were inspired to bring this topic to discussion so that we can be more mindful, and then we can work towards implementing and being a peacemaker in these times of difficulties on the earth, with all the things we have. So we have to visualize the good, feel the good, mold the good. What is the other one there's for?
See the good.
See the good. Yeah, I'm not gonna remember. See the good, feel the good, visualize the good, and mold the good with all the resources that we have at hand. That's in the book For in Life, which is the manual, right? Remember, this is the manual. The Emmanuel have brought to us. These are the books, little simplified version of the courses that the spirits take. So maybe you and I have taken it when we were in the spiritual realm. And then we can, reading this content, choosing what we focus our attention on. Remember, visualize yourself with those images projecting. What are they projecting? What are the colors? Because the spirits tell us our thoughts have color, they have energy, they have smell, they have feelings around. And then we can all work each and every day towards that um, better thoughts, more peaceful thoughts for more enveloped planet. All right, any final comments, questions, concerns, and then we can bring back our skyline so we can pray for, not only for Richmond, for all the cities in this world who may be in need. All right, so let me bring in my friends. We'll see you.
Okay, friends. So let's do our final prayer. Like Shane mentioned before, let's center ourselves. Dear God, guardian angels and spirit guides, thank you for being here with us, inspiring our discussions and our learning. Thank you for always protecting us and guiding us in this life and always. We humbly ask you to send your guardian angels to bless, inspire everyone on earth, so we may feel God's love, we may feel hope, we may feel peace, we may feel love. And may all these positive feelings and vibrations be transmitted among ourselves, our neighbors, our friends, And may we all feel this powerful feeling that God provides us. May we have faith of better days and hope that these difficult times will pass and we will move towards a more evolved planet. We thank you for your protection, and with your permission, we end today's meeting. So be it.
All right, dear friends, before we all go, I want to remind everybody that we'll be together every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can watch this again. You can send us comments or questions. You can visit our website, ssrichmond.org, spiritisrva@gmail.com. And in our website, there is a contact page. One of us will get the message and will reply to you. There will also our phone is listed here every Monday at 8. Additionally, I want to tell you two things that we're going to be doing new. If you'd like to join us, I'm going to be on Facebook tomorrow, every Tuesday at 8 p.m. We're going to talk about the Spiritist magazine on Kardec Radio Facebook page. And then we are going to be together on a Zoom meeting for study of the Spirit's book. So if you want to be part of that, write us. We'll send you the link and you'll be able to talk with us. We're going to be able to discuss the different topics of the Spirit's book. The Spirit's book teachings on Thursdays will not be broadcast at the moment. So it's just an opportunity for us to continue our studies. And with that, I thank you, Evelyn and Eric. As always, my love to both of you.
Thank you.
We hope that we can be together again, God willing. With His protection, we'll be here again Monday. For the ones who are on the internet, I hope that you guys have a wonderful evening, a wonderful morning, and we will be together again. Have a good
Bye.
night.